Hi guys, my name is Kate. I'm a part-time online clothing reseller, and in today's video, we're going to do a work with me style video. I tried recording one of these a couple of months ago, and then for some reason I never edited that video, and so it never came out on my YouTube channel. But here I am again trying to make that type of video for my YouTube channel. The lighting on me is kind of weird because usually when I record videos in my basement, I use these two lights. I have like a full circle ring light and then this box light, but I use the same lights for lighting for my photos, and so the lighting isn't on me for this video because I need to have lighting for my photos. I essentially never take photos in natural light. Sometimes I can get photos done while my baby girl is sleeping, but my older daughter likes attention too, obviously, and so most of the time I take photos in the dark, so I need this artificial lighting. Let's start taking some photos together. The stuff that I'm going to be photographing today is from my most recent trip to the Goodwill outlet. We have this big bag here. I was actually going to record a haul, a bins haul, like I always do on my channel, but I thought I would switch it up a bit, and this way I can kill two birds with one stone. The first item we're taking pictures of, though, is not a bins item. It is this Fortnite jumpsuit, and this is so funny because I actually got this from the dollar store. They had a bunch of these in, I think they were all the same size. This one is a size small, and I bought it for my husband to wear on Halloween a couple of years ago. Like, I think it was like our second year of marriage or something. And I have been filling up our closet with thrifted goodies that I've been buying for myself, and so I need to clear up some space in our closet, and my husband hasn't worn this for years. I haven't even asked him if he wants to get rid of it, but I 100% am sure that he does not care that I'm going to get rid of this and try to sell it. I don't think I'll get more than $15 for it, but, you know, I sell stuff and list stuff all the time that's $15, and so this is free inventory. To the right of you guys, it's going to be, I think you're left, maybe you're right, but I have two little totes stacked on top of each other, and then I have this whiteboard. And this is where I put all my measurements. I know some people do measurements differently. Some people write down measurements. They'll take their photos and then they'll take measurements of the clothing item, then write them down either on a sheet or their phone, and then they'll just transfer those measurements when they're doing the listings. But in my personal opinion, it is much faster to write them down on a whiteboard and take a picture of the whiteboard and then include that in your listing, because I've tried both ways and this has saved me a ton of time. So I'll just put like what the item is. For this one, it's Fortnite, and then I'll put approximate flat measurements. And then for jumpsuits, I like to include the length, the pit to pit, the inseam, and then the sleeve measurement, but sometimes jumpsuits don't have a sleeve, so I won't include that. I don't usually put the sleeve measurement if it's a short sleeve because I don't think people care too much, and it's just like an extra 10 seconds of my time that's a waste. So hopefully I can stay focused because I am going to be moving around a lot, but I'm gonna get out my phone so we can start taking pictures. I am going to be coming behind these lights. You won't be able to hear me for a sec, or you won't be able to see me for a sec, but you'll be able to hear me. So I'm gonna come back here very slowly so I don't got a frame, and then I'm just gonna click the like light button on my camera and do a full body one, and then I'll come up a little closer and I'll pull out the sleeve so people can get like an idea of what the item looks like with the sleeves out. I'll come closer, do the brand tag, and then usually the material tag and information like that will be on like the hip area or the bottom of the dress, but right here it's on the top. So this one is 100% polyester, which I could have guessed because it definitely does feel very artificial, and then it has the care instructions. And then I'm just gonna flip this over, and then I'll go back again, and I'll just take a picture of the full body like this. And I probably should include for this Fortnite one too, like the weird head thing. So maybe I'll pull that down. It's got like this plastic thingy that is a hook for an iron, but there we go. Okay, that's kind of creepy. All right, now I'm gonna do measurements. I'm not gonna talk through every listing that I do or every clothing item I take pictures of, but I'm gonna do that for the first one so you can kind of get a sense of my process, and then we'll be talking about other reseller things. So let me get out my measuring tape. It's on the ground, And honestly, I've been using this thing for so long. It is way wrinkled, and I'm thinking about just starting to use like one of those hard measuring tapes. So I'm guessing the length of this one is going to be pretty tall, because I think it was pretty tall on my husband. So it's 58 inches length, and the pit to pit is 58 and then 18. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure that I write that down. Usually I can only remember 2 measurements at a time. So 58, 18, and then I'll do the inseam, which is, let's see, the inseam is 26, so kind of a short inseam, but I think it's more like a dropped crotch situation. And then the sleeve is 24.5, so 26 and 24.5 inches. I usually just abbreviate inches with IN because that is saving time in my business. All right, first item down. So that's basically the process. And then I'll just take it off the hanger and fold it up. And I'll, create a little section of all my folded clothing pieces that I've taken pictures of. And then I'll assign them to a bin, and I'll put them in that bin usually the next day or whenever I start working next. So let's pull out another clothing item, and you guys can see some of the stuff that I recently got at the Goodwill outlet. My husband, so great. Today, he got home from work and he was doing like magic tricks with our daughters, and it was so funny. They were laughing, having a good time, and then my husband's like, why don't you go to the bins? Why don't you go to the bins? You like going to the bins? And I was like, this man is making me so happy right now. He's just like, why don't you go to the bins? But I'd actually been keeping in mind wanting to go to this one thrift store called Calvary Thrift, because I go in there every so often and I find certain gems, and I usually find some great pairs of shoes too. And I said, actually, I'm gonna go to this thrift store. And he's like, okay. So I went there today and I went thrifting at Calvary Thrift, and I had a great time. But I just thought it was really sweet of my husband, and maybe I'll do a haul of that stuff on my channel because I do enjoy hauls. All right, so this, as you can see, it has a tag, which I'm surprised that I got so many good pieces. I mean, not anything amazing, but some solid bread and butter pieces, even though they had tags on them. So this, you're going to not be able to see the color very well, but it's like a coral shirt with polka dots all over it, 3/4 sleeve. It is a size 3, which is equivalent to a size 16. And I believe this is like 100% cotton, which is really good material, basic material, but honestly 1,000 times better than polyester. Okay, I'm gonna mute my phone because I don't want it to keep going off. Ever since I got my new phone, have been getting so many notifications, and I've tried to, I just made a sale on Vinted, you guys. I sold this shirt for $16. That's really exciting because if you watch any of my what sold videos, I think I've only made 3 sales on Vinted so far, but cross-listing, I use Vendu to cross-list. I don't really have a preference for it, but I got a lot of ads from other people on YouTube, and so I've been using Vendu to cross-list, and it takes like very little time to cross-list to Vinted, so I do it, and I get like surprise sales like that. But in other news, it is so sad because me and my husband have been having to pay so many expenses recently when it comes to our home. I mean, that's part of being a homeowner. We've owned our house since September of 2022. And we've just had a lot of things breaking down recently, and it's honestly super discouraging and makes me feel stressed because I feel like, I should start working harder so I can make more money. I am definitely listing more things a week than I ever have, but we've had to pay for a lot of expenses recently. I'm talking about a lot. So first, our sprinkler system was broken and our grass was turning brown, which isn't the end of the world, but we want our house to look nice, so we had to buy a new, not sprinkler system, but like controller of the sprinkler system, excuse me. And I just realized these photos are kind of weird. My camera has a weird time taking photos of like peaches and reds. I'm gonna retry that one. But anyway, so we had to buy a new sprinkler controller, and we decided to pay a little bit more to get the more expensive one because it is something, the system, I think it's called Beehive or something like that. You can control the sprinklers from your phone, which makes it super convenient. And so we decided to do that, and we thought, okay, that was kind of expensive. It was like close to $200, or maybe it was around $150. I can't remember now. But I'm like, okay, that was a big expense, but we won't have to, you know, it's okay to spend upwards of $100 sometimes, you know, when it comes to your house, because, you know, your house is a big investment and it's something worth putting money into. Well, we had also started tearing up the tile, or I guess it wasn't tile, but we started tearing up like the wall area of our shower upstairs. And we had mold in there because we had this one tile. So I don't think any of the other walls were tiled. I honestly can't remember. But this one wall was tiled, and the little tile that held like a little dish to hold soap or shampoo or whatever had fallen off. And so we put tape on that, but we knew it was a temporary solution. Well, that stayed our temporary solution for like a couple of years. And so mold got in the shower. And so my husband started tearing that stuff out before we had to pay for the sprinkler expense. And we haven't gotten like to choosing new tile or anything because that's going to be a pretty big expense. And so we've basically been using our downstairs shower to shower, and then we've been using our middle floor bathroom to brush our teeth, put makeup on, wash our face, stuff like that. And it has just been, you know, it's been fine. I've gotten used to it, but I would like to start using our upstairs bathroom again sometime soon. Let me take measurements real quick. So the length of this is 27, and then the pit to pit is 23 1/4. Did I say 27? I always forget, like right after I take the measurement. It's like when someone says their name after you meet them and then like you forget it right away. So I think it was 27, and I believe it was 23" for the pit to pit. I actually bought a folding table to go right where my camera is, and so I'm not gonna have to keep bending down soon, but I have not set it up yet. Okay, 23.5 is the pit to pit, and the sleeve is 17.5. So we got 23.5. Did I seriously just forget what the sleeve is? I totally did. Okay, it's more like 18. Okay, 18 inches. I mean, I don't think many people care about the length of the sleeve, even for long sleeves, but maybe they do. So I always like to include it if there are noticeable sleeves. But yeah, second item, picture's done. Anyway, back to talking about all the home expenses. So, next thing to break is our lawnmower. We have a gas lawnmower that we bought on Facebook Marketplace from somebody, and it has been, you know, worked well for us. My husband does all of the mowing of the lawn. That is the man's job. I mean, I know women can do it too, but I already cook the dinners and all that stuff, so he's taken it upon himself to mow the lawn. Well, our lawnmower broke. Like I said, I think it just stopped working. I honestly can't remember the whole story, but very unfortunate. And my dad recommended that we buy a electric lawnmower, and so I think we dropped like $200 something for a new lawnmower very recently. So there's that. And then this actually needs to be steamed, but it's fine. I actually did just buy another steamer on Amazon, or not another steamer, my first ever steamer on Amazon, because I haven't had a steamer for this whole time of my reselling business. And I finally, I think it was just a couple nights ago, decided to order one on Amazon. So I've been also ordering a lot of stuff on Amazon that's like necessary, not just stuff I want, but stuff like I need. I could live without, but stuff that, you know, is very useful, beneficial to me. So I've been spending a lot on Amazon too. And then to top it all off, you guys, our washing machine broke. So first thing that broke or kind of tore a little bit was the plastic or maybe like rubber rim. and it's my fault. My mom mentioned how I might be making my loads of laundry too big, and then I need to do smaller loads. And so I think she's right. And so my husband, we replaced the rim, or he replaced the rim. I brought him a thing of scissors and like a rag, but that's all I did in terms of fixing the washer. Well, he fixed the rim, and it took a good like 2.5 hours. And so it was exhausting. My husband was exhausted by the end. And then I decided, okay, you know what? Our washing machine has been leaving like brown stain streaks on our clothes. So I put in a washing machine cleaner tablet, and right away, as soon as we started the load, after my husband fixed the rubber ring, sounded really, really bad. And at first we just thought it was like the sound of the tablet banging against the drum. But no, the drum was also out of alignment. And so today, my husband, my awesome husband, while I was thrifting, opened up our washing machine to try to figure out what was going on. And lo and behold, there are multiple things in the washing machine that need to be fixed. And so it would just be cheaper at this point to buy a new washer. So I've been looking on Facebook Marketplace today before I started this video and started taking photos. I was looking on Facebook Marketplace for a washer and a dryer. And I came across a few, but we're gonna have to spend around $200. So if you add up all the things we've had to pay for recently, it comes close to like $1,000. And then add in all the little expenses on Amazon, it's just very discouraging. And so that is all the stuff we've had to pay for recently. And so I think we're just gonna like push off our bathroom some more because we can. I mean, it would be nice to get it done, but at this point we're just like, let's just hold off on the bathroom because we've been doing just fine without using the bathroom. Sorry, I keep going off camera, but I'm just trying to take pictures of the North Face skirt. This one has like a weird, oh, wait a minute. I just realized this person, see right here, they made like I don't know if you'll be able to see, but they made like adjustments themselves. So they stitched it up so it would fit them the way they wanted, I believe. That doesn't look natural. But it also has this like zipper right here, which is really random. It's just like in the middle of the back, but I am going to include a picture of that because, I don't know, maybe like hiker woman. This isn't a skirt, but it is like a longer skirt. So I'm going to just take out the stitches. Another thing I need to buy on Amazon, but I probably need to buy like a seam ripper for when people make their own alterations because scissors leave a lot more room for error. So I'm going to try to be very careful with this. But I think I got one. Okay, got the first one. 3 more to go. Luckily, I think the person matched the color of this skirt really well. That's why I thought it might be intentional, but it's definitely not intentional. The person just color matched their thread to this skirt really well, like super well. It's going to be funny if I find a stock photo and it's actually supposed to have this modification, but I'm really sure that it's not. I'm like almost positive. And now I just got to take out these seams, which is pretty easy. Yeah, no, I'm like almost positive that those aren't supposed to be there. All right, now I can do measurements of the skirt. And the North Face, I feel like the North Face, the brand is pretty oversaturated. Like it retails for a lot, kind of like Nike does. Although I feel like it's more expensive than Nike, but it's very oversaturated. So I don't usually get the North Face at the regular thrift store, but from the bins, I have a really hard time leaving the North Face because I know that consignment likes to take it, but I'm honestly okay with making or selling the skirt for around $15 or any of the North Face piece for around $15. All right, measurements for the skirt are complete. I always make sure, triple check that I actually took a picture of the measurement whiteboard because a few times I have forgotten and I've gotten to listing. So basically, this is how my reseller schedule works, excuse me. Before I tell you about that though, I gotta show you guys this dress, which is so pretty, but I'm gonna take to consignment because it's just a shorter length H&M dress. It's the line Divided. H&M has a few different lines. They have Label of Graded Goods, Divided, and a few others, but this is a really pretty like whimsy goth. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's a baby doll style with like puff sleeves, and I'm gonna see if consignment will take that. I feel like Plato's Closet would really like this piece because they're very style-based over brands. But anyway, going back to my reseller schedule, we're not gonna measure any jeans right now because I usually do those in my hallway on the ground. But essentially, me and my husband, we will put our daughters to bed, and then sometimes we'll spend some time together before I start working, and then sometimes we'll just, you know, get straight to working, and my husband usually goes on his computer to talk with the bros or to play a video game or to work on a book. My husband's actually writing a book, which is crazy. I don't even know how he manages all the things he manages, but he just decided one day that he wanted to write a book. And so he's literally been writing this book. But then we'll go our separate ways, like I said. I will take photos while watching reseller YouTube videos, but sometimes I'll also listen to like political stuff or anything that pops up on my For You page on YouTube, and I will take photos. I say watching, but it's more like listening. So anyway, this piece right here is really cool. This is a Chaps, which I believe is owned by Ralph Lauren. I could be totally wrong. But this was a style-based pickup because it's very Aztec, Southwestern, and it has like these two front pockets. It's knit. And so this was a style-based piece. I love experimenting with style-based pieces from the Goodwill outlet, and this was a really great one. I just realized my head's like all over this place, but I gotta make sure to write that we're on to Chaps measurements now. But that's basically the reseller schedule. Take my photos, and then I go back upstairs. Sometimes I'm hungry and I'll make myself a snack. And then I will sit on the couch with my phone, and then I'll pull up not a YouTube video, because usually when it comes to YouTube videos, I can't like mindlessly listen. I'm more engaged mentally. But I'll turn on a show on Netflix or something, and I'll watch that and like a little, you know what it is, right? When you pull up Netflix and then you go out of Netflix and there's still like the little screen you can keep watching while you go onto other apps of your phone. I'll do that, and I'll watch a show while I list. And it is the best. I love it. It's a really great schedule. It works for me. But anyway, I'm going to take a picture of this, the Chaps, or not the Chaps, just Chaps, Aztec. I'm going to make sure to include, when it comes to photos, I like to include a photo of like my hand in the pocket, just because I feel like pictures speak louder than words. Although I still get, especially on Depop, I will get questions all the time asking what measurements are, like what the pit to pit is, what the waist size is, and I'll just say, oh, it's in the last photo. And so then they'll check the last photo and they'll say thank you. But it's crazy how people just don't scroll through all the photos, right? Because if I'm buying something secondhand, especially from a seller that I don't know, I am looking at all of the photos. But anyway, that was really quick. And I love shirts that don't have, or are short sleeve and then don't have like a distinguished waist, because then I only have to take 2 measurements. So for this one right here, it's gonna be quite a long length. It's like a long duster, sleeveless duster, 35 length and 24 pit to pit. So it is a size 2X, which also adds to the style factors. But boom, Chaps, take a picture. Okay guys, look at this top. This top is absolutely gorgeous. It's just from CJ Banks, where I actually get a lot of style-based pieces from this brand. But this is a size 3X. It is sheer. Look at how fairy core this blouse is. The sleeves, it is so romantic. There is a loose little thread right here that I'm gonna cut, but it is beautiful. Absolutely stunning. I literally gasped in my head when I saw this piece. But yeah, this is a beautiful CJ Banks blouse. So as I was saying, I went to the Calvary Thrift today, and every time I go, they are blasting Christian music. But today, it sounded extra loud. And I have problems sometimes with sensory overload, and so while I was thrifting, the Christian worship music was so loud, and I had a hard time concentrating, but I still had an enjoyable time. They were just blasting the Christian music. And then at about 6:15, I think I got there around like 5:30 or maybe 5:15, and about 6:15, they made an announcement saying that their dressing rooms and stuff were closing in 15 minutes. And then at the end of all that, they said, Jesus loves you, which is sweet, right? Nice little sentiment. And then 15 minutes later, they said, okay, dressing rooms and bathroom is closed. Store will be closing in 30 minutes. And then again, they said, Jesus loves you. And I was like, they say this probably so many times a day. Whenever they make an announcement, they probably say, Jesus loves you. And then it happened again. The third time at 6:45, they said, we will be closing in 15 minutes. Please make your final selections and come up to the front. And then they said, Jesus loves you. It is a very Christian-themed thrift store. And also, on their bathroom key, because I've used their bathroom key a few times, there is a wooden cross attached to the key, and that's basically like what the key's attached to so it doesn't get lost. And it's so funny. But I find some gems at this thrift store, honestly. They do mark stuff up, and so I don't even try to look at their purses because they know the name brand purses, they keep the purses in a separate section, and they price all of them up. But they have some really good shoes. They like to mark up certain shoes too, but they don't mark up all the shoes. And so today, I found 3 different pairs of newer style Vionic shoes. I also found a pair of Sorel boots, and I also found a pair of Franco Sarto heels. And I was debating about the Franco Sarto heels, but they were like brand new, so I did decide to get them. I always pick up my measuring tape with my foot. But this one is so pretty, and it's definitely, oh no. Oh, good, okay, I thought this was a rip, but it was just like a distress fit in the design. I was gonna say, no, I love this top so much. Okay, so length is 31. Pit to pit is pretty big. 31, 27. All right. 31, 27. Okay, so when a sleeve doesn't have a distinguished seam and like this sleeve kind of starts at the neckline, I will just not put the sleeve measurements because I feel like it's kind of irrelevant at that point. So I'm gonna put that down, CJ Banks, and then I'm just gonna quickly double check the photos because I am talking while I do this. But yeah, they look good. And I can always brighten them if I want to. My new camera, honestly, is kind of weird. It's supposed to be the best phone camera on the market, but it kind of, I just need to adjust the settings because I liked how my other photos looked with my other phone camera that was much older. All right, we'll do another few pieces and then I'll end this video, but I just wanted to try out a new style video because, like I said, I could kill 2 birds with 1 stone, which is honestly a terrible saying. Right? I don't want to be killing any birds, but this piece is really gorgeous. This is from the brand Rag & Bone, which I believe is very expensive retail. And I've actually found it at the thrift store a few times, but it's mostly been jeans that are really worn out or teeny tiny sizes, or just pieces that just didn't seem like worth they were reselling. But this piece, you guys, is like a blazer. I just put it back on the rack, but I want to show you guys. And I believe there's silk in it. Yeah, so the little cutouts, the lining is 43% silk. Oh, and then the shell of it has virgin wool in it. Okay, so this is a pretty nice piece. See if I can find a stock photo for it. But I was excited when I found this piece. This one does not have a Goodwill tag on it, which tells me that this is fresh inventory. And then I gotta check the pockets because I always find trash. Look at that, I always find trash. Without a doubt, I always find trash. But yeah, I'm gonna take photos of this. This is gonna be the first ever Rag & Bone piece that I list. I have a hard time also taking photos of like black gray stuff because it'll like either get way too bright or too dark. But Rag and Bone, size 6, cute little blazer. And we'll take a photo of the material tag because there's a lot of different material. And it's dry clean only, which I assumed. Then we'll take a picture of the back. Very nice piece. Let me know in the comments if you guys sell a lot of blazers. I don't. I do look in that section a lot, but I don't honestly find a ton of stuff. And I used to, I think I mentioned this in a previous video, but I used to like pick up every cool vintage blazer that I saw at the bins, and they just weren't selling. So that was really bad on my part, but I was a new reseller. All right, so we gotta write down that this is a new piece. We are no longer on CJ Banks. And usually I do this a lot quicker, but I'm off camera. So I usually can get photos done in about an hour, which may seem long to you, but I feel like I work slower than your average reseller because I kind of have OCD. And so I'll like double check and recheck stuff, but I'm gonna put the length right here, which is, let's see, the length of this is 24.5, and then I gotta put this in again so I can actually accurately measure the pit to pit. So 24.5 and 18. It's gonna be so nice when I have my table set up because I won't have to keep bending over or like halfway bending over, and it's just gonna be a lot more efficient. It was my husband's idea to buy a table, and he was right because he works in quality management and efficiency, and he got a job which is very advanced for his age. He's only like 25, but he got a really good job, and it's just because he is really, really good at managing inventory systems. And so he's the best little tool for me to utilize when it comes to making my business more efficient. But I'm gonna take a picture of this Rag and Bone. Okay, whoops, this just fell down and knocked the camera. But as I was saying, sometimes when it comes to fabric, I like to take a picture of the fabric up close if it has a notable print or texture. And this one kind of has like a texture you would think that needs to be sweater shaved, but that's intentional, I believe. But yeah, that is it for the work with me video. I'm gonna finish off now and get the rest of these done quickly. But we managed to get through 1, 2, 3, 5 together, or 6 together, which isn't bad, which means I need to do about 10 more. But thank you so much for watching this work with me video. Let me know how you liked it. I probably won't be doing a ton of these because it is definitely very hard to talk and be entertaining while I take photos, but I just wanted to like show you guys kind of how I do this at night, right? And that it is attainable for you to do too if you are interested in becoming a reseller, or you are a reseller and you're just curious how I do it. Because I watch reseller videos all the time, and I watch their like inventory systems and how they take photos and stuff because I always want to be improving, and so I hope that my videos can help you out too. Like I said, I'm going to get a table up so I don't have to keep bending down. But not only that, you guys, spiders. I'm in the basement, and so it is spider palooza down here. I encounter spiders all of the time, and so it's gonna be nice to have a table too. I know that like spiders can like climb up the legs of the table, but it's gonna be a lot less accessible for spiders. They have to work harder to get to my clothing and for me to actually touch them or accidentally come across them. But with that being said, I will hopefully see you guys in the next video. Bye.